Hi, everyone, and welcome to the China Marketing Podcast, the place to go to hear in-depth conversations with industry experts, influencers, and Chinese consumers about the latest consumer, product, and marketing trends in China. Each week, we aim to bring you tactical and thought-provoking content that will help you grow your business in China. The China Marketing Podcast is part of the Sinica Podcast Network, powered by SupChina. I'm your host, Lauren Hallanan. First and foremost, I'd like to kick things off by apologizing for taking a couple weeks off from publishing episodes. It was a bit of an unplanned hiatus. My husband and I bought a house recently and we just moved, so things have been super hectic and I totally ran out of time to pre-record some podcast episodes. So for today's episode, I was looking back through all of our episodes and I realized that I have been neglecting a very cool and important video platform, and that is Bilibili. And just my luck, my friend Miro Li just released a brand new online course all about Bilibili. So this week I brought her on the podcast to give us a complete overview of the platform, and we really dig into what makes Bilibili unique and how and why brands should be using it. As I just mentioned, Miro has a course on the topic, so if you finish this episode and you want to learn more about Bilibili, definitely check out the course. Miro has provided a special discount for podcast listeners, so you can find all that info in the show description. Two other quick bits of housekeeping. As you might have heard me say at the beginning of each podcast, the China Marketing Podcast is part of SupChina's Sinica Podcast Network. SupChina is currently doing a listener survey of all of their podcasts, and we would love to get your feedback. It's a brief survey, and you can find the link for that in the show description. And then the second bit of housekeeping is that I'm hosting a webinar on WeChat mini program live streaming on May 19th. As you've heard me talk about in the past few episodes, e-commerce live streaming is super popular in China right now. You know, while Taobao has historically been the leader in e-commerce live streaming, WeChat's newly launched mini program live streaming feature has already started to claim market share. There have been some great case studies. A lot of brands are jumping on the bandwagon. So in this webinar, I will give a brief overview of China's e-commerce live streaming industry, the major players, and why Chinese consumers love this medium. Then I'll share what is WeChat mini program live streaming and what are the benefits of live streaming on WeChat versus other channels. And then lastly, I'll talk more about the technical details, how can brands unlock the feature and set up live streaming on WeChat mini programs. So if you're interested in that, again, link in the show description. Lots and lots of links today. So definitely check out the show description. Okay, so that's everything that I had to announce. Let's go ahead and get started with today's episode. Here is Miro Li talking about Bilibili. Hi, Miro. Welcome back to the China Marketing Podcast.
Hello, Lauren. Thanks for having me. And I'm glad to be here again.
Yeah, I was looking earlier. I think it's been about a year since you've been on the podcast. And last time you were on to talk about the Xiaohongshu report that we put together. But today I'm having you back on to talk about a different platform, and one that I feel like I've been paying a little bit more attention to lately, and seeing a lot more news about lately, and that's Bilibili. So before we get into Bilibili and talk about what it is and why people should be paying attention to it, why don't you reintroduce yourself to my audience? Because, there's a good chance that a lot of people haven't listened to your previous episode and don't know who you are. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Miro. I'm the founder of W Consulting. We are a consulting company helping overseas brands to enter China, and we are especially focused on the niche platforms For example, the social commerce platform Xiaohongshu, which is also called Red or Little Red Book, and also the Gen Z targeting video sharing community Bilibili. And we recently also launched another platform called Chinable Academy. This is a training platform, and not only me, but also many industry leaders, including Lauren, will be instructors, and we will produce some online courses or webinars or workshops to help you learn about China market, including the marketing, e-commerce, China business, etc. So if you want to learn about China market, you can come to the Chinable Academy and check out the resources we provide.
Yeah, and I will put a little teaser in right now that at the end of this podcast episode, Miro is going to have a special offer for everybody listening if you want to learn more about Bilibili. So yeah, stay tuned for that at the end of the podcast episode, or check the show notes if you want to cut straight to it. So why don't we get right into it? Could you give everybody, they've heard of Bilibili before, but maybe you could just give a brief intro to the platform, a little bit about its history and, what's special about it.
Okay, so Bilibili is a video sharing community, and it started as an ACG video sharing platform. So ACG represents animation, comics, and games. And now, after 10 years of the development, now Bilibili offers videos from various fields, for example, lifestyle, entertainment, music, movie, education, etc. And this is a platform specially targeting Gen Z, which means people who are born after 1995 and 2000. And it's also a company jointly invested by the two China internet unicorns, Alibaba and Tencent. And Bilibili is also listed on NASDAQ in 2018. Yeah, and now just give everyone a rough data. As of Q4 2019, the monthly active user of Bilibili has reached 130 million.
So I think it's interesting because Bilibili is it's been around for a really long time, but compared to a lot of, with a lot of the Chinese social media platforms, they are really focused on extreme growth. I think the biggest one that stands out is Douyin, or, what people in the US know as TikTok, right? I mean, it just came out of nowhere. All of a sudden it had hundreds of thousands of monthly active users. It just blew up, but so a lot of brands hear that and they're like, oh my God, there's so many users, it's so popular, we need to get on Douyin. But I think Bilibili's a little bit different. It's grown a lot more slowly. But that's a good thing in some ways. From what I understand, Bilibili users are, even though there's less Bilibili users, the users of the platform are very active. They're very dedicated to the platform. So maybe you could talk about that. How is it different than some of the other video platforms? Why should brands be interested in it, even though it's maybe much smaller and their views would be much lower than say a Douyin or something like that?
So when we compare Bilibili with other video sharing platforms, we can compare it with those, we know there are top 3 video platforms in China. The first one is iQIYI, which is backed by Baidu. The second one is Tencent Video, which is owned by Tencent. And the third one is Youku, which is backed by Alibaba. And we can also compare Bilibili with other 2 the largest short video platforms, which is Douyin and Kuaishou. So I think the difference between Bilibili and the video platforms like iQIYI and Tencent Video is that I would rather see Bilibili as a community, not just a video platform. Because for platforms like iQIYI or Tencent Videos, the content on these video platforms are mostly OGC content, which is occupationally generated content. So they like to buy these licensed videos like movies or TV dramas or TV shows. And for the users, you have to pay an annual membership fee so that you can watch these videos. So basically for the users, they are not very attached to these platforms. They are just looking for like a certain movie or a certain show they want to watch, and they can easily be transferring to another platform.
Yeah,
but
kind of like
Bilibili
Netflix or Hulu or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But on Bilibili it's different because they have a very high very active community, and the users are very highly engaged, and also they are very sticked to the community. So we see a lot of content producers on Bilibili, because the content on Bilibili actually most of the content are PUGC content. This term is also created by Bilibili. So PUGC means the professionally user-generated content. It's actually a combination. It's actually in between the PGC content and the UGC content. So the PUGC content is actually more related to the user's daily life, but it's more professionally produced. So it's more like you can see more high quality content, but produced by a user, and it's very closely related to your daily life. So that's why the users on Bilibili, they are not only watching the licensed movies or TV shows, but a lot of like vlogs or some gamers doing game live streaming, or some comics or animation series. So the content is very different from other video sharing platform. And also the culture is very different because Bilibili has its own unique culture. So you can see a lot of like unique terms or slang that users like to say here, and they have like a bullet screen function. They are one of the first platforms to introduce bullet screen function. So this is also, I think, a very important function for the community, because bullet screen is actually like a social function that you can see what other people's comments are when they are watching the same video, when they are watching this same movie. So this is also would make the users have a closer distance with each other, and also with the content creator. And also, I think another difference is very important is the revenue structure, because for other video platforms, the most revenue comes from advertising and also the membership fee. But for Bilibili, although they also have a membership system that you can also pay an annual membership fee to join the membership, and you can watch some licensed videos. But the most revenue comes from the game and also the live streaming. So game is one of the most important business of this platform, and also live streaming. There are a lot of different types of live streaming on Bilibili, not only like what we see on Taobao or on other platforms. It's mostly e-commerce live streaming. But on Bilibili, you can see like game live streaming, or even some study live streaming. Like people just live stream their, they are not saying anything. They're just silently sit here, read a book, or just study, and a lot of people are watching it. So it's like a virtual companion. This kind of live streaming is also very popular here. So you can see a lot of different types of the content here, and also we see Bilibili has much more functions than other video sharing platforms, and also the revenue structure is different. The community, the culture is different. So I think it's very different from other video platforms.
I think a lot of the video content is much more long form video, which
Yes.
definitely separates it from some of the other platforms. Like I feel like Bilibili users are much more willing to sit and watch a 20-minute long vlog than
Yes.
users on other platforms.
Yeah, unlike the short video platforms, you can only watch maybe 15 seconds or 60 seconds. But on Bilibili, people like to watch like at least 5 minutes or 10 minutes, even 20 minutes video. I think they are willing to watch more informative and also more they can provide more information to the audience. Not only the vlog, but also like educational videos. Like you can actually watch a lot of online course here, and
Mm-hmm.
also some technology bloggers. They like to post videos to evaluate
Mm.
different phones or different like electronics. So this type of video, they include a lot of information, and they are also very popular here.
So I think that, people in the West love to compare Chinese platforms with Western platforms so that they can try and
Yeah.
grasp, like try and understand what these Chinese platforms are like. And that's really getting very hard to do these days, because the Chinese platforms are just so complex and they've become much, they've got their own characteristics now. But I think that, people often say that Bilibili is the closest thing to YouTube in China. And I definitely see where that comparison comes from. Like, I agree with that on some levels, but then again, it's also very different. So what do you think about that comparison? I think you wrote something about this recently.
Yeah, I think if you see it as a video platform, then it's very similar because here as a user you can watch the video, you can also post your own video, but there are a lot of difference. Like Bilibili's like YouTube's size is much bigger than Bilibili at this stage, and also Bilibili has much more functions. Like you have the bullet screen function. This is a very important function for them to have a highly engaged and active community. And also the business model is different because for YouTube, most of the revenue comes from the advertising, but for Bilibili, it's not. So like on Bilibili, you can never see any ads before the video starts because this is what they kind of insist on. Like they would never add any ads before the video. So the revenue of Bilibili comes from the games and also live streaming. And also the content of Bilibili is still very like ACG related because they started as an ACG community. So you can see a lot of ACG related content here. But on YouTube, I think you can actually see many different content like from any categories here. So, and also the community is also very important because Bilibili is more like a community, not only just a platform. So here you not only watch the video, but you actually communicate with other users. You communicate with also the content creators. So yeah, I think this is the difference between Bilibili and YouTube.
And jumping off of what you just said, the really interesting thing that I think a lot of people don't know about Bilibili unless they try to use the platform is that you can't write comments and you can't post videos on Bilibili unless you take this super long test. And the test, even though, like you said, even though the platform has kind of expanded to include other content types, from my understanding, like I tried taking the test before. For a foreigner, like my Chinese is pretty good, but like my Chinese is like not like even a Chinese person, like like for someone like you, like if you don't understand the ACG culture, like the test is really hard. Like the test, it's not like a understand Chinese test. It's like the test is even though the platform's expanded to other types of content,
categories.
The test is still very focused on whether or not you understand ACG culture. And it's almost like, do you deserve to, like, can you be part of this community? Like, do you deserve to contribute content to this community? And if not, like anybody can just go on and like watch a video on Bilibili. But if you want to comment, if you want to post a video and stuff like that, you have to take the test. Has that changed at all, or is that's still very true?
Oh, I actually tried to take the test, because before, like a few years ago, Bilibili's test was very hard, very difficult, and it's actually for even for Chinese people, if you're not really like interested in the ACG content, it's impossible for you to pass the test. But now they actually lowered the difficulty and it becomes easier. So I tried the test and the first like 40 or 50 questions is about the community rules and policies. So it's pretty easy for you to pass because so they just ask you like what comments is illegal or what video is appropriate. So they kind of test you the community rules. So make sure you don't really post some illegal content or you just comment some illegal words here. And then they ask you to choose 3 categories that you are interested in. So you can choose ACG or you can also choose like entertainment or culture or history, etc. But I actually chose history and culture, and I still find the questions very difficult. So I think I only get like 10 points from 40 questions or something. So I just passed the test. Like because you only need 60 points to pass the 100 question test. So I think I only get like 10 points.
I think I need to try again because I tried it like 3 years ago and they definitely did not have all those options then. Like when I tried 3 years ago, it was so hard and I think you needed like at least like 80 something percent to pass. So to go off, what we were just saying about the test that users have to take becoming easier. Recently I've been reading some articles about the fact that, the platform has taken a lot of investment over the past couple of years and they seem to be trying to grow a lot more. And, there have been a lot more celebrities joining the platform. Like you said, the test has gotten easier to be able to comment, to be able to post. And, I've also read in those articles that there's been some feedback from, some of the more loyal users. Like we mentioned earlier, Bilibili is a community. It's got a much more of a community feel to it. So, there's a little bit of feedback from these, more loyal members of the Bilibili community saying that they don't like this change, that they feel like it's kind of diluting the platform and it's changing the platform a bit. So, kind of what are your thoughts on this? Do you see this happening? Do you think that the platform's going to try and take measures to, keep that community feel to it? What are your thoughts?
I think Bilibili is definitely pushing commercialization since last year, 2019. And I think whether it will hurt the community or not, I think it depends on like how they will commercialize. So first, what I see is what they are doing is to trying to get more diversified the revenue coming from different business. Like when they went IPO in 2018, 80% of the revenue came from games. But now in Q4 last year, the number has reduced to around 43%, and more revenue comes from like live streaming or e-commerce or advertising. So I think they are trying to do is to get a more diversified business model, and also although they have this membership system, this test, and they lowered the difficulty, they make it easier. So they want to attract more new users, but this will definitely cause some loyal users to be disappointed. Like they would say that new users, they don't really understand this community, and they also say that there are many like younger users that they would make this like atmosphere of this community not like before. So I think this is something they're trying to balance the commercialization and also the community. And because we also know that Bilibili also introduced the membership system that you need to pay an annual fee to become a big member, and then you can watch some licensed movies or TV shows. So this is what they are trying to do to increasing the membership revenue. But at the same time, they are not really add many ads on the platform. For example, they still insist on like no ads before the video, not like YouTube. So in this way, they would lose a lot of advertising fee because they are not really adding any ads here. So I think the problem is when you are getting bigger, either get bigger or you either die, because this is also what their management team think. Because now you have 130 million MAU, and the CEO said the target for 2020 and 2021 is to reach 180 million and 220 million. So I think a platform now, because we know that a company, they have different stage of development. Like I think for Bilibili, they have already finished from 0 to 1, but I think now they are currently experiencing the from 1 to 100 stage. But you have to reach 100 first, then you can reach 1,000. So I think at this stage, the commercialization is still very slow. But when they reach maybe 200 million or 300 million MAU, maybe in 2021, in 2022, maybe 2 or 3 years later, I think they will have a much deeper commercialization. At this stage, I still think the commercialization is at an early stage, but maybe we can expect 1 or 2 years later when they have more monthly active users. I think they would introduce more different commercialization models to the community, and I don't know, maybe at that time they would need to solve the problem, like how to balance the commercialization and the community.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you give those numbers, I mean, those are still relatively small, like growth numbers compared to something like Douyin and some of the other platforms. So I think that if those are their target numbers, they should be able to figure out how to grow the platform at that rate without ruining the community. So it's not like they're trying to gain 100,000 or 100 million users a year like some of the other platforms are. So let's get into how brands can be using this platform. Can brands open an account, or should they just be working with KOLs, running ads? Like, what is the best way for a brand to use Bilibili?
Yeah, the brands, they can also open an official account here. Both the Chinese company and also the overseas company, they can open an official account and you can post your own video. And you can also work with KOLs here. So when you're working with KOLs, they usually just add your product in their videos, like in their vlogs or some evaluation videos, or introduce the products during the live streaming, etc. And because we know Bilibili is actually partnering with Taobao, so for some KOLs, they can actually add the direct product link in their video. So people can just click on the link and they can go to the Taobao's product page. So it's actually very convenient for the e-commerce live streaming and the e-commerce videos.
So that's the best way that you suggest that brands are collaborating right now, is through live streaming and KOLs?
I think for brands, if you have a very strong video production team, or you can really produce videos in Bilibili style, you can try open your own official account. But it definitely takes time, and if you're not a very well-known brands here, it's also very hard to attract the followers. So I think if you are a new brand to the platform, or you don't really have a strong video production team to help produce videos, I think you can consider working with the KOLs first. And I think working with KOLs is maybe an easier way for brands to start marketing and branding on this platform.
What are, maybe the differences between working with a KOL on Bilibili as opposed to Weibo, Xiaohongshu, other platforms? And I think, probably there's quite a lot of KOLs that have accounts on all three of those platforms. How are KOLs on Bilibili incorporating brands and products? Is it more of like unboxing videos? Maybe do they, because I think vlogs are pretty popular, so do they just incorporate the brand into a tiny bit of the video, or should brands expect the whole video about them? Maybe you could talk a little bit about kind of the expectations that brands should have when collaborating with a Bilibili KOL.
Yeah, I think usually the KOLs would include several products in one video instead of just one product for a video, because we know that on Bilibili it's usually long videos, so it's not very usual for KOL to shoot a 20-minute video just to introduce one product. So they would just, for example, they would share some makeup tips, and they would use like foundation, powder, and then the eyeshadow, lipstick, different products in one video. Then and to show the whole makeup. And I think there is one very big difference between Bilibili's KOL from other platforms, is that we find that KOLs on Bilibili are usually very honest to the audience. For example, they would honestly tell the audience that this video is sponsored by this brand. So they would not be like KOLs on Xiaohongshu or on Weibo just saying, oh, I really like this handbag, so I bought it by myself, but actually it's sponsored by this brand. So on Bilibili, the KOLs are very honest, because if they post a commercial video and they didn't really say this to the audience may get very angry, and they may send some really negative comments, negative bullet screen, and this will really damage not only the KOL but also the brand. So if a brand is working with a KOL and this KOL is very honestly saying that this is a sponsored video, I think this is very okay, and this is also accepted by the audience. So the brand should really know about this, and also the audience will actually think this KOL is very honest, and they would, if the quality of the video is just like other videos this KOL produced, I think this will also be accepted by the audience, because the Bilibili users, they only care about the video's quality. As long as you can provide information, provide useful information, provide some value to them in the video, and as long as you can create some really creative, really funny videos, they can accept that. Even though they know this is an advertisement, they are willing to watch it, and they are willing to share with their friends. This is, I think, a very big difference between the Bilibili users and other platforms. And also, there is one problem that we find brands may complain, that some brands may feel it's more expensive to work with the KOLs on Bilibili compared to other short video platforms like Douyin, because actually the number of followers is different. Because, for example, a KOL on Bilibili, you have 100K followers. It's sort of like 1 million followers on Douyin. So this is why brands may feel it's more expensive, but it's because of the size of the platform is different. So on Bilibili, 100K KOLs is already like a mid-tier KOL, but it's maybe just a small KOL on Douyin. So that's why maybe you need to pay the same for the 100K followers KOL compared to the 1 million followers KOL on Douyin. But even though you're working with a small to mid-tier KOL on Bilibili, you can still find the user engagement is super high. We see some small KOLs, like you only have like 10K or 20K followers. A KOL, a video can receive thousands of engagements.
As a follow-up to that, I would just like to know, are there any common mistakes that you see brands make on Bilibili, or can you think off the top of your head of any examples of brands that just did not, just failed on Bilibili, because they didn't understand the platform and the community?
Yeah, actually, I see two very interesting cases is from McDonald's and KFC, because KFC was on Bilibili since last year. I think they are a very famous brand in China, but now they only got like 18K followers. So I think it's because they just post the same videos from other platforms like this. They post the same videos on Bilibili. And what's even funnier is you can actually see another content creators. They post a Mother's Day video from KFC, and that video actually got thousands of views, like millions of views, much more than the official account. So I think sometimes the brand should really think about like what types of content would be interesting to this platform's users, and maybe they really need to localize. They really need to have different strategy for different platforms. And another case is from McDonald's because 2 weeks ago, McDonald's have like 24-hour non-stop live streaming to launch their new product. And because like this kind of live streaming actually was like a trend on Bilibili, because we see like Xiaomi, Huawei, they all launched the live streaming to launch their new product. So that's why McDonald's also did the same. But funny thing is they invited many Bilibili's KOLs to try their new product. But then the users would actually comment, who is this? I don't know this KOL.
Oh.
But they are actually inviting, this Bilibili KOL. So I think sometimes you need to choose really local, like deep-rooted KOLs on this platform. And also the whole procedure of the live streaming is very boring, and the audience, they watch it just to get coupon. So
24 hours is a
not
bit much.
Really yeah, it's not really for. I don't think it's really for Bilibili users, but they actually choose this platform to do the live streaming. So maybe big brands, they can really understand this platform, understand the users first, and then they can launch more localized campaign.
Yeah, thank you. Those are some great case studies, some great examples. So I want to start to wrap things up. I think you've provided a ton of information on the platform, and hopefully demystified it a bit. Because I definitely think that people have heard of it, but if they haven't really used it or spent a lot of time on it, maybe it's hard for them to figure out, all the nuances of how it's different than other platforms in China. And I think even though, even as we talked about it, I think there's still a lot of nuance, like we know that the audience is different. We know the audience likes different things, but, there's still a lot of, it's still a bit confusing for brands. So if brands want to, brands, agencies, anyone listening wants to get in touch with you, maybe find out more about Bilibili, learn more about Bilibili, why don't you share how they can get in touch with you? And as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, you also have a special offer for the course that you recently created on Bilibili.
So you can find this Bilibili 101 course on the Chinable Academy. So this is an entry-level course for the platform, and I introduced the platform, the user demographic, the developing journey, basic functions, etc. And then what are the popular categories and the content and the popular events on the platform. And also, we also compare Bilibili with YouTube and other video platforms and other social media. And I also talk about like how can brands use Bilibili and how to work with the KOLs. And in the end, I also shared some case studies from different categories and different brands. So you can go to the Chinable Academy to find the Bilibili 101 course. And I also have a special offer for anyone who is listening to this podcast. So the original price for this course is $99, and now you can have a discount code, which is Bili20, BILI20, Billy20. You can enter the code and you can enjoy a discount price at $79, and then you can enjoy the course.
Awesome. And we will include the link to the Chinable Academy and the course in the show notes. So definitely check there. And if people just want to get in touch with you in general, what's the best way for them to reach out to you, to follow you online?
You can follow me on LinkedIn. I usually share some recent updates for the China marketing and China business on LinkedIn. And you can also add me on WeChat. My WeChat is Miro509. So you can also add me on WeChat if you have any questions for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Miro, for coming on again. And everyone listening, I think if you liked this podcast and you want to have more detailed information, you want, video with visuals to go along with it so you can kind of see more of the details of the platform, then, definitely check out the course. Because I know sometimes with podcasts, it's hard to really see what Miro is talking about. So that's, that could be resolved by checking out the course. Thank you, Miro, so much for coming on the podcast again.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that interview with today's guest. You can find links to their contact info and detailed show notes for this episode on ChinaInfluencerMarketing.com. If you liked this episode and know somebody else who might like it too, don't forget to share. Thanks, and talk to you next week.